The fluorescent lights buzzed like angry hornets as I stumbled into the Walmart at 2:17 a.m., my heart pounding from a nightmare that left me gasping for air and craving something, anything, to anchor me back to reality. I grabbed a cart that squeaked like it was on its last legs, weaving through empty aisles piled with cereal boxes and discount socks, my hands shaking as I tossed in random shit. A six-pack of off-brand beer, a bag of frozen burritos, and a goddamn rubber duck that caught my eye because it looked as lost as I felt. That's when he appeared from behind the end-cap display of energy drinks. Tall, messy dark hair falling into hazel eyes that locked onto mine with an intensity that stopped me dead, like he'd been waiting there my whole life just to wreck me. His name tag read Peter, and he was stocking shelves in a faded blue vest that hugged his lean frame just right, the kind of guy who looked like he could fix a carburetor or quote Hemingway without breaking a sweat. "Rough night?" he asked, his voice low and gravelly, carrying that easy Midwestern drawl that made my stomach flip. I mumbled something about insomnia and bad dreams, but he didn't let it drop. Instead, he leaned against a stack of paper towels, crossing his arms like we were old friends shooting the shit at a dive bar. "Happens to the best of us," he said, flashing a crooked smile that revealed a dimple on his left cheek. "Want a real tip? Skip the burritos. The hot dogs in the deli are surprisingly life-affirming at this hour." I laughed. Actually laughed. For the first time in weeks, the sound echoing weirdly in the cavernous store. We ended up wandering the aisles together, him pushing my cart like it was the most natural thing, pointing out the weirdest impulse buys, glow-in-the-dark toothpaste, a puzzle of the periodic table, edible underwear that had us both cracking up until my sides hurt. Peter was 24, from a nowhere town outside Kansas City, working nights to put himself through community college for graphic design. Divorced parents, a little sister he adored, and a confession slipped out over the international candy section. He was bi, but mostly kept it quiet in this Bible Belt stretch of Missouri because small towns got long memories and short fuses. I nodded, my throat tight, because at 26, fresh off a brutal breakup with a guy who'd ghosted me after I came out to my folks, I knew that dance all too well. "My name's Adam. By the way, software coder by day, insomniac poet by tortured night, crashing on a buddy's couch in Kansas City after my ex cleaned out our apartment and my savings." By the time I checked out, Peter sneaking me a discount on those hot dogs we split right there in the break room. Against all store policy, the sun was threatening to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples. "Come back sometime when it's not the witching hour," he said, scribbling his number on the back of a receipt. "Or hell, text me now. I could use a reason to smile before my shift ends." I did, right there in the parking lot, my thumbs flying, thanks for the hot dogs and the sanity. "Adam." His reply buzzed back in seconds. "Anytime, cowboy. Peter's your midnight dealer now." That text kicked off 3 weeks of feverish, can't think straight bliss. We'd meet after his shifts, greasy spoon diners at dawn, where he'd steal fries off my plate and talk about designing album covers for indie bands that didn't exist yet. Lazy afternoons in my borrowed apartment, tangled on the thrift store couch watching old Hitchcock films, his head on my chest as I traced lazy circles on his back. Peter was fire and quiet storm wrapped in faded jeans and band tees, Nirvana, The Smiths, shit that made my heart ache with nostalgia. He'd kiss me like it was the end of the world, slow and deep, hands roaming with a hunger that matched my own, whispering things in the dark that peeled back my layers. "You're not broken, Adam. You're just waiting for the right storm to match yours." I fell hard, faster than I'd ever thought possible. For the first time since Jared, that cheating bastard who'd promised forever and delivered a Venmo request for half the furniture, I felt seen. Peter got my rants about code glitches and family dinners where my dad pretended my phase would pass. He shared his own scars. The high school bully who'd outed him as a joke. The mom who'd prayed over him instead of hugging him. The dad who'd split town with a bottle in hand. But in those stolen moments, none of it mattered. We'd drive out to the edge of the city, park by the Missouri River under stars that felt too big for our little lives, and make love in the bed of his beat-up Ford truck. The kind of raw, breathless connection that left us both wrecked and whole. It was romantic as hell. The stuff of those dog-eared paperbacks I'd hidden under my mattress as a teen, except real, gritty, with the tang of river mud and fast food wrappers. He'd surprise me with sketches. Me laughing in the Walmart light, or us silhouetted against a sunset, pencil strokes capturing the way his eyes crinkled when he grinned. I'd write him poems on napkins, cheesy lines about hazel-eyed saviors and late-night redemptions. "You're my plot twist," I'd murmur into his neck, and he'd pull me closer, like he believed it too. But bliss has a shelf life in stories like ours, especially when life's got a knack for throwing curveballs. Started small. A missed call here, a vague text there. Peter pulled double shifts. Said the store was short-staffed for the holidays, but his laughs came shorter, his touches hesitant. I chalked it up to exhaustion, pushed down the gnawing in my gut. Then came Thanksgiving, my first without the family fallout fresh. He bailed on our plans for a quiet dinner at my place, texting at the last minute, "Family emergency. Sis is sick." Rain check. I spent the night alone with a turkey TV dinner and a bottle of bourbon, scrolling his Insta, nothing but work selfies and cat memes. By midnight, the doubt crept in like fog off the river. When he finally showed up 2 days later, hollow-eyed and reeking of cheap whiskey, I confronted him gently over coffee at our diner. "What's going on? Pete, talk to me." He stared into his mug, jaw tight, before the words tumbled out. His dad had rolled back into town, crashing at their mom's trailer, full of apologies and empty promises. "He's pushing me to man up, Adam. Says I'm wasting my life on fairy tales. That's code for you, for us. And Mom. She's looking at me like I'm the devil's own now." His voice cracked, and I reached for his hand, but he pulled back, eyes darting to the door like we were being watched. "I just need time to figure this shit out without dragging you under." It gutted me, but I nodded, because love means giving space, right? Wrong. The next week blurred into a haze of radio silence broken by half-hearted updates. Busy at work. Miss you. I threw myself into code, debugging apps until my eyes burned, but every ping from my phone was a lifeline I clung to. Then, the betrayal hit like a freight train. It was a Friday night, December chill biting through my jacket as I swung by Walmart on impulse, craving those damn hot dogs and a glimpse of him. The store was decked in tacky tinsel, carols piping through the speakers like a bad joke. I spotted Peter in the automotive aisle, laughing low with a guy I didn't recognize, tall, broad-shouldered, with a military buzz cut and a tattoo snaking up his neck. They were too close, Peter's hand lingering on the guy's arm, that dimple flashing in a way I'd thought was mine alone. My chest seized. I ducked behind the oil filters, heart hammering, but not before catching the tail end. Can't keep doing this, Jake. Adams. He's real, Jake. The name sliced deep. I bolted to the parking lot, breath ragged, fumbling for my keys as tears blurred the taillights. Later, piecing it together from drunk-dialed voicemails to my best friend Mia, the only one who'd stuck by me post-Jared, Peter had history with this Jake high school fling, toxic as hell. The guy who'd shoved him back in the closet after one too many bar fights and Bible thumpings. And now, with Dad back in the picture preaching real men, Peter had cracked, seeking solace in the devil he knew. The confrontation brewed for days, a storm cloud over every forced smile at our tentative coffee meetups. He swore it was nothing, a weak moment, a beer too many, but the lie hung between us like smoke. "I love you, Adam," he'd plead, eyes desperate, but I could smell the guilt, taste the fracture. Romance curdled into something sharper, emotional barbs flying in whispers. "How am I supposed to trust you when you run to him every time shit gets hard?" He'd fire back, voice breaking. "You don't get it. My world's imploding. And you're the one thing I can't afford to lose." Christmas Eve sealed it. Snow dusted the city in that rare, magical Kansas City way, turning the streets into a Norman Rockwell fever dream, except mine was shattered glass. I'd planned the perfect night. A tree from the Walmart lot, ironic, yeah, strung with lights and his sketches framed as ornaments, a playlist of our songs humming low. He showed up late, cheeks flushed from the cold or something else, carrying a wrapped gift that felt heavier than it should. We exchanged them awkwardly. Mine a leather-bound journal for his designs, his a silver chain with a pendant shaped like the Missouri state outline, engraved our river. It was beautiful, gut-wrenching, and I hated how it made me want to forgive him. But then my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Ask your boy about the motel on 71. Merry Christmas, asshole." A friend. Attached was a grainy photo. Peter and Jake, tangled in sheets, time-stamped last night. The room spun. I shoved the phone at him, voice a raw scrape. "What the fuck is this?" His face drained of color, the pendant slipping from his fingers to clatter on the hardwood. "Adam, wait, it's not." But the denial died in his throat, replaced by a sob that echoed my own breaking heart. "I fucked up. Dad cornered me, said I'd burn in hell. And Jake, he was there, saying all the right lies. I went to him to forget, just once, I swear." The fight that followed was operatic, the kind of dramatic unraveling that leaves scars you wear like badges. I screamed until my voice gave out, about trust, about the poetry we'd scribbled in the margins of our lives, about how he'd made me believe in second chances only to torch it all. He begged, on his knees amid the scattered wrapping paper, tears carving tracks through the stubble on his jaw. "Don't make me choose between my blood and my soul. You are my soul, Adam." But the damage was done. Betrayal's a poison that seeps deep, turning love's warmth to ash. I stormed out into the snow, the chain clutched in my fist like a lifeline or a noose, wandering the empty streets until my boots soaked through and my fingers numbed. Hours later, dawn breaking gray and unforgiving, I found myself back at Walmart, the fluorescent sanctuary where it all began. Peter was there, of course, clocked in early, stacking cans with mechanical precision, his eyes red-rimmed and haunted. Our gazes met across the produce section, watermelons between us like indifferent witnesses, and in that suspended moment, the climax crested, not with fists or final words, but a quiet unraveling. He crossed the aisle slow, like approaching a skittish animal, vest rumpled and name tag crooked. "Adam," he breathed, voice barely above the hum of the coolers. Shoppers milled oblivious. Bleary-eyed parents grabbing last-minute hams. A teen blasting TikToks through earbuds, while our world narrowed to the scent of overripe bananas and unspoken ruin. Please. Let's talk. Not here, my truck. After shift. I wanted to say no, to hurl the pendant at his chest and walk away into the slushy dawn. But the hook in my gut twisted deeper. Love's a stubborn bastard, even when it's bleeding out. We ended up in his Ford, parked crooked in the employee lot, engine idling against the bite of the wind, whipping snow flurries like confetti from a funeral. The cab smelled of him, coffee grounds, motor oil, and that faint citrus cologne that used to make my knees weak. Now it just churned my stomach. He lit a cigarette, bad habit he'd sworn off for me, inhaling deep before passing it over, our fingers brushing in a spark that wasn't desire anymore, just static. I hate myself, he started, staring at the dash like it held answers. More than you ever could. Jake's poison. Adam always has been. He texts me when I'm low, preys on the cracks. Last night. It was stupid, desperate. A way to numb the noise in my head. I took a drag, coughing on the bitterness, and let the silence stretch until it snapped. Noise? That's what you call it? My ex, Jared, he cheated too, you know. Left me picking up pieces while he shacked up with his bro. I thought you were different. Thought we were. The words hung heavy, laced with the raw emotion I'd bottled since the photo burned my retinas. Peter's shoulders slumped, defeat etching lines around his mouth that hadn't been there a month ago. Were. Shit. I don't know. Dad's back, hammering on about legacy, about how I'm failing everyone. Mom's whispering prayers behind my door. And you're the light, Adam. The one thing that makes sense. But I'm scared, terrified I'll drag you into this mess and taint it. Tears welled, unbidden, and I swiped them away furious, hating the vulnerability he still pulled from me like a cheap magic trick. Scared? Try betrayed. I laid it all out. My family disowning me, the nights I cried myself sick over Jared. And you go running to your high school mistake? For what? A quick fuck to prove you're normal? My voice rose, cracking on the last word, the cab fogging with our breaths. He flinched like I'd struck him, reaching tentative for my hand. But I yanked back, the gear shift digging into my thigh. Don't. Just explain why it had to be him. Why not me? Why not fight for us? He crushed the cigarette in the ashtray, sparks scattering like our dreams. Because you're too good, Adam. Too real. Jake's easy, familiar hell. He doesn't ask me to be brave, he just takes. Last night, after Dad's rant, I drove aimless, ended up at that dive-off 71. Jake was there, buying rounds, talking shit about old times. One thing led to. God, I hate saying it. It wasn't about you. It was about running from me. His hazel eyes met mine then, fractured and pleading, the dimple gone, replaced by a tremor in his lip. But it is about you. Every second. I woke up hating the man in the mirror, drove straight to your place to confess. Then the text came. Some asshole from Jake's crew, probably, stirring shit. I was gonna tell you everything. The confession hung there, a fragile bridge over the chasm. Part of me wanted to believe it, the boy who'd sketched our sunsets, who'd kissed my scars like they were constellations. But trust, once shattered, leaves shards that cut deep. Words are cheap, Pete, you've said you love me 100 times. Show me. He nodded, fierce, leaning in until our foreheads touched, breath mingling hot and ragged. Give me a chance. 1. I'll cut Jake off, block, delete, whatever. Talk to my folks. Lay it out. For us. The kiss that followed was desperate, salty with tears, a collision of hurt and hunger that left us both gasping. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a spark, flickering against the gale. We drove in loaded quiet to my apartment, the snow thickening into a blanket that muffled the world's judgment. Inside, amid the half-decorated tree and cooling takeout, I'd salvaged dinner from a Thai place, 'cause fuck it, holidays don't get to win. We really talked for hours. He spilled the ugly, Dad's alcoholism resurfacing, pressuring him to drop school for a real job at the factory. Mom's quiet despair, clutching rosaries like lifelines. The closet's chokehold in a town where rainbows got you rearview mirrors smashed. I shared my own ghosts, Dad's golf club silences, Mom's teary, I love you but, emails, the freelance gigs that barely covered rent since Jared's theft. Vulnerability wove us tighter, threads of empathy stitching the rips. By dawn, we'd mapped a plan, therapy apps for him and me, because why not? A joint email to his parents, brave, honest, no punches pulled. We're in this, or we're out, I said, lacing fingers with his overcooling coffee. He squeezed back, resolve hardening those hazel eyes. In. All the way, the day blurred into tentative normalcy, stringing lights, baking cookies from a box, burnt, but hilarious. Stealing kisses under mistletoe I'd taped to the fridge. Romance flickered back, softer now, tempered by fire. Slow dances to Frank Sinatra on my phone. His head on my shoulder as we swayed, whispering futures, road trips to California. His designs on gallery walls. My code funding a house with a porch swing. But drama's got a shadow, and ours lurked in the form of Jake. He didn't vanish easy. Texts pinged Peter's phone through New Year's. Taunts. Please, you know you missed this, with attached pics that made my blood boil. Peter showed me every one, deleting on the spot, but the poison lingered, seeding doubts. He's not gonna stop, I warned one night, tangled in sheets after lovemaking that was fierce, reclaiming. Peter traced my collarbone, voice steady, then we face him. Together. It sounded good, humanistic. Even, two guys against the world, building something unbreakable from the rubble. January hit like a reset, crisp and full of promise. Peter cut back shifts, enrolled in online classes, started journaling his chaos into art, sketches of us as superheroes, capes billowing over Walmart aisles. I landed a remote gig with a tech startup in Seattle. Enough stability to buy my own place. Dates turned magical again. Ice skating on the frozen river, where he'd pull me close during spins. Laughing when we tumbled into drifts. Bonfires in my buddy's backyard. Roasting marshmallows while he read my poems aloud. Voice husky with pride. Emotion swelled. Deep and abiding, the kind that roots in your bones, whispering this could last. Yet conflict simmered. Peter's dad cornered him at the trailer one Sunday, Bible in hand, thundering about Sodom and redemption. That boy's the devil's whisper, he bellowed, spotting a sketch I doodled on a napkin. Peter stood his ground, first time, voice shaking but firm. He's my heart, Dad. Love him or lose me. The fallout was brutal. Slammed doors, voicemails laced with scripture and sobs from Mom. Peter crashed at my place that night, shaking like a leaf, and I held him through the tremors, murmuring, "You're enough. We're enough." It bonded us fiercer, romance blooming in the adversity, lazy mornings trading aspirations, his fingers sketching code symbols on my skin. But betrayal's echo called back. Mid-February, Valentine's loomed like a dare. I'd planned epic. Reservations at that rooftop spot downtown, overlooking the glittering skyline, a velvet box with matching pendants, upgraded from his Christmas gift, inscribed "Rivers Run Deep." He was giddy, sketching heart-shaped chaos on every surface. Then, the night before, his phone lit up during movie night. "Jake, again, heard you're playing house. Bet he doesn't know about prom night." Attached, a video, grainy but unmistakable. Teen Peter, drunk and terrified. Jake's hands too rough, too insistent. The room tilted. Peter snatched the phone, face ashen. "Ancient history. I told you, he's digging graves." Rage boiled, not at Peter, but the ghost haunting us. "This ends now," I growled, grabbing keys. "We're confronting the bastard," he protested. "Too risky, too messy," but I was done with shadows. We drove to Jake's address, stalkerish. Yeah. But desperation's a hell of a motivator. A rundown duplex on the city's frayed edge. He answered shirtless, smirking through the screen door, beer in hand. "Well, if it ain't the Ferry Brigade." Peter's hand trembled in mine, but he stepped forward. "Leave us alone, Jake. It's over. Has been since you tried to break me." The ex laughed, cruel and cutting. "Break you, kid? I made you. Remember who held you when Mommy cried?" It escalated fast, words to shoves. Jake lunging like a bull. I pulled Peter back, adrenaline surging, but it was Pete who snapped. A haymaker connecting with Jake's jaw, the crack echoing like thunder. "Fuck you and your poison." We bolted, hearts pounding, peeling out into the night with sirens wailing distant. Back home, crashing together in a frenzy of relief and release, kisses bruising, bodies mapping forgiveness. "My hero," I gasped, and he grinned, dimple flashing true. "Nah. Just yours." Spring teased with dogwoods and thaw, our love a resilient bloom. Conflicts arose, money tight, my folks sending passive-aggressive cards, but we navigated, humanistic in our grit, community center support groups, where Peter's art became murals of hope, my code evolving into an app for queer youth, inspired by his sketches. Romance deepened, emotional layers peeling to reveal souls intertwined. Betrayal's scar faded to a reminder. Love's not flawless, but fought for. It's unbreakable. Yet life's script twists when you least expect, and ours veered into fresh turmoil with the call from Peter's mom. It came on a muggy May afternoon, me debugging lines in the living room we'd finally claimed. Tiny one-bedroom above a laundromat, walls alive with his framed designs, while he prepped for a portfolio review at the college. Her voice on speaker was a tremolo of defeat. "Peter, honey, your father's gone again. Took the truck, left a note saying he's ashamed of himself, of us, and you. God help me, but I miss my boy." The line crackled with her sobs, and Peter froze, spatula mid-flip on eggs, face crumpling like wet paper. We drove to the trailer that evening, the Missouri sun dipping low in a sky bruised orange, casting long shadows over the rusted swing set where he'd learned to hide his first crush. Mom met us at the door, frail in her housecoat, eyes puffy but softening at the sight of us hand in hand. "Come in," she murmured. No prayers this time, just a pot of weak tea and photo albums splayed on the formica table. Stories spilled. Dad's youth, wild and wandering, tamed by her love until the bottle untamed him. Peter's birth, a miracle boy they'd prayed for. When she reached my hand across the table, tentative, whispering, "He speaks of you like sunshine, Adam," something shifted, forgiveness's first bud. But Dad's shadow loomed. We found him 3 days later, holed up in a Fleabag motel off I-70, reeking of regret and wild turkey. The reunion was raw theater, Peter storming the room, me flanking like a silent sentinel. Dad slouched on the sagging bed, grizzled beard hiding tears. "You think you're better than me, son, chasing dreams and that lifestyle." The slur landed like a slap, but Peter didn't flinch. "It's not a lifestyle, Dad, it's me. And yeah, maybe I am better. Because I fight for what matters." The air thickened, accusations flying, wasted potential, broken family until Dad broke, collapsing into hugs and half apologies. "I just wanted you strong." Didn't know how to show it. It wasn't absolution, but a start, humanity in the mess, a father glimpsing his son's steel. Back home, the emotional afterglow was intoxicating. Peter channeled it into a series of paintings. Fractured families mending under stormy skies, colors vivid with our shared ache. We'd make love slow that night, bodies sinking like a heartbeat, his whispers against my skin. "You're my anchor, Adam." In every storm, romance reignited, playful and profound, picnics by the river, where he'd feed me grapes and recite bastardized sonnets. Midnight drives blasting Springsteen, windows down, his hand on my thigh like a vow. I coded with renewed fire, pitching my app to investors, dreaming of coasts where closets were relics. Summer scorched in, bringing heat waves and hidden cracks. Jake slunk back, a viper in the grass, anonymous emails to Peter's work, outing whispers that got him sidelined for a promotion. "Faggots got a sugar daddy," the notes sneered, and though management brushed it off, the poison spread. Sideways glances from coworkers, a slashed tire in the lot. Peter hardened, but I saw the toll. Nights he woke sweating, murmuring Jake's name like a curse. "He's obsessed," I'd soothe, holding him close, but doubt whispered, "What if he misses the fight, the toxicity?" The climax brewed in August, humidity thick as betrayal's breath. We'd scored tickets to Pride in St. Louis, a weekend escape, rainbows and rebellion. The drive was electric, top down, playlist thumping queer anthems, Peter's sketchpad open to caricatures of us as glitter-bombed warriors. The festival pulsed alive, drag queens lip-syncing under confetti storms, booths hawking ally flags and therapy cards. We danced in the crowd, sweat slick and free, his lips on mine tasting of rainbow slushies and liberation. "This is us," he yelled over the bass, eyes alight. Unapologetic, but Jake crashed the party, literal and venomous. He appeared at the edges, buzz cut bobbing through throngs, eyes locked on us like a predator. We spotted him by the beer tent, nursing a solo cup, smirk twisting when our gazes met. "Fancy seeing you lovebirds," he drawled, stepping too close, breath sour. Peter tensed, arm banding my waist protective. "Piss off, Jake. This ain't your scene." But the ex laughed, Low and lethal. Oh, it's mine now. Been thinking maybe I out you proper. Tell your boss. Your mom. That app boy's donors. How's eternal sunshine feel with skeletons rattling? Threats hung. A noose tightening. We slipped away, but the buzz killed the night. Dancing turned tense. Kisses shadowed. Back at the motel, Peter paced like a caged wolf. He's unhinged. What if he follows through? I pulled him down. Grounding. Then we fight. Lawyers. Blocks. Whatever. But he doesn't get to touch this. Lovemaking followed. Urgent and affirming. Bodies a bulwark against fear. Yet sleep evaded. Jake's ghost between sheets. Dawn brought the storm, literal. Sheets of rain lashing the city as we checked out. Halfway home. Wipers slapping frantic. Peter's phone erupted. Voicemails from Mom. Panicked. Your father's in the hospital. Overdose. We floored it. Hydroplaning through downpours. Hearts in throats. The R was a blur of beeps and bleach. Dad stabilized. Stomach pumped. Eyes hollow when we arrived soaked. Didn't mean to, he rasped, gripping Peter's hand. Just tired of failing you. Mom wept beside. And in that fluorescent limbo, family fractured but fusing. Peter's forgiveness a quiet gift. My presence the unspoken bridge. Crisis forged us sharper. Jake's harassment peaked. A brick through our window. Scrawled queers burn. Prompting cops and a restraining order. Peter testified steely. Me beside. And the judge's gavel echoed victory. Betrayal's final twist? Jake's arrest uncovered his own demons. Military discharge for assault. A trail of broken boys. Pity flickered. Humanistic mercy. Peter wrote him one letter and signed heal or haunt. Your call. No reply came. Fall leaves turned gold, mirroring our mellowing love. Peter's portfolio landed him a junior gig at a KC ad firm. Designs for local queer nonprofits. Paying enough for date nights at actual restaurants. My app launched beta. Users pouring in. Stories of hidden loves. Found families. Emotion deepened. Romantic gestures evolving. Anniversary hike in the Ozarks. Where he proposed not with rings but promises. Etching forever's a choice on a tree trunk. We laughed at the cheesiness, but meant every word. Yet drama lingered in subtler forms. My parents thawing. A hesitant call from Mom. Proud of you, son, after reading about the app in the Post-Dispatch. Peter's folks attended a gallery show of his work. Dad clapping awkward but genuine. Conflicts arose, work stress. A fight over chores that escalated to are we drifting. But we therapied through. Voices soft in the dark. I choose you. Every day. Humanistic growth, we volunteered at the center. Mentoring kids with Peter's art and my tech. Weaving our scars into lifelines. Winter whispered back. First snow dusting our fire escape as we curled on the couch. His head in my lap. Fingers tracing veins. Remember that first night? He murmured, smiling up. Rubber duck and hot dogs? I chuckled, bending for a kiss. Best impulse by ever. Love, now, was tapestry. Dramatic threads of betrayal woven with romantic gold. Emotional storms birthing humanistic calm. But stories don't end tidy. They simmer, testing resolve. Ours hit a snag in late November. The current chill seeping into bones and bonds. Peter's firm landed a big client, a conservative bank chain, all starched collars and subtle homophobia. The gig meant stability, but the meetings? Suits side-eyeing his rings. We'd exchanged simple bands in a courthouse whim. No fanfare. Emails laced with family values code. It's just business, he'd insist over takeout. But I saw the erosion, the way he'd straighten his posture, dimple vanishing under forced grins. I pushed back gentle. Don't shrink for them, Pete. You're more than their poster boy. He'd nod. But the doubt festered, manifesting in late nights at the office. Texts curt, swamped. Love you. Echoes of old patterns, Jared's excuses. Peter's slips stirred unease. We'd argue in whispers. Post-midnight. Am I losing you to the grind? He'd pull me close. Fervent. Never. You're my why. Sex reaffirmed it. Passionate anchors in the drift. But emotion's a sly thief, stealing inches unnoticed. The real conflict ignited pre-Thanksgiving. A work party invite dangling like bait. Come as my plus one, he urged. Eyes hopeful over pumpkin pie experiments. Disastrous, but endearing. I hesitated, red flags waving, but agreed. Suiting up in my one blazer. Nerves jangling like loose change. The venue was a swanky downtown club. Chandeliers dripping opulence. Air thick with cologne and condescension. Hand in hand, we navigated small talk, handshakes firm from execs who cooed. Peter's our rising star. And who's this? My introduction stuck. Adam. Partner. Met with polite nods masking microfreezes. Then Jake Spector resurfaced. Not in flesh, but venom. An exec. Buzzed on scotch. Clapped Peter's back too hard. Heard you had a rough patch. Kid X stirring trouble? Good thing you cleaned up. Peter's face blanked. Mine heated. But we played it cool. Excusing to the balcony for air. What the fuck? I hissed. Rain starting to patter on the awning. He sighed. Defeated. Gossip mill. HR knows bits from the order. They think I'm stable now. Stable. The word curdled, implying I'd been the chaos. And me? Your dirty secret upgrade. Hurt flared. Arguments spilling into the downpour, we stormed out, hailing a cab in sheets of water. Silent fuming. Home was war zone. Accusations flying. You're ashamed. I'm surviving. Culminating in slammed doors. Me crashing on the couch. Heart a bruised drum. Dawn brought regret. He found me there, coffee in hand, eyes shadowed. I fucked up. Again. We talked circles, his fear of glass ceilings for out folks. My terror of erasure, until exhaustion forged truce. No more hiding. We set boundaries or quit. He chose us, emailing HR a polished thanks, but authenticity over assimilation. The firm balked, but Peter's talent spoke louder. They renegotiated, inclusive clause tucked in. Victory tasted bittersweet, romance rekindling in the fallout, candlelit apologies, slow dances in our kitchen to Otis Redding, his sketches now bolder, queering corporate icons. Emotion deepened, raw and real. Therapy sessions where we'd unpack privileges and pains, emerging tighter, humanistic in our mutual uplift. December danced in with holidays healed. We hosted his folks, awkward at first, Dad grumbling over turkey, Mom fussing with yams, but laughter cracked the ice. Peter's story of our Walmart meet, exaggerated for chuckles, drawing reluctant grins. My parents zoomed in, faces softening at his warmth, a tentative invite next year? From Dad's sealed mending. Betrayal's ghosts, banished to toasts, Jake in therapy, per a mutual contact, his poison turning inward, a reminder of Grace's reach. New Year's Eve. We rang in on our roof. City fireworks blooming like promises. Buzzed on champagne. He dropped to one knee, not proposal, but pledge. Marry me proper. Adam. Vows. Cake. The works. Tears pricked. I hauled him up. Kissing fierce. Hell yes. Planning ensued. Chaotic joy. Venue hunt, a riverfront barn. Rustic romantic. Guest lists blending straights and allies. His designs for invites, us as silhouettes against a starry Walmart sign. Spring burgeoned with wedding fever. Conflicts comedic. Tux fittings where dad bonded over bow ties. Mia, my hetero lifeline, clashing with mom on floral arrangements. Deeper drama? My app hit a snag. Funding dry up. User backlash from conservative trolls echoing Jake's bile. It's dead. I despaired one night, head in hands. Peter sketched through it, turning fears into a graphic novel pitch, code and canvas. Our story stylized, betrayals as plot twists, love as denouement. We're the beta test, he quipped, and damned if it didn't land a publisher. Summer solstice brought the ceremony, a humid haze of heartfelt chaos. 80 souls gathered under string lights, river murmuring benediction. Vows were us, raw, poetic, mine. You found me in fluorescent hell and lit my world eternal, his. From aisles to altars, you're my endless sketch. Rings exchanged simple gold. Engraved rivers, sealed with a kiss that drew cheers and a few sniffles. Reception thrummed. Dad's toast, teary and gruff, to second sons. Mom's dance with Peter, twirling like old times. Romance peaked in stolen moments, garter-toss laughs, cake-smeared kisses, emotion cresting in quiet vows renewed under stars. Honeymoon was road trip bliss. Route 66 echoes, motels with neon hearts, bodies rediscovered in desert dawns. Back home, marriage's rhythms settled, mornings tangled, evenings sketching code. Conflicts ebbed to everyday, bill spats, wanderlust tugs, my Seattle offer tempting. But we navigated humanistic anchors, annual Walmart pilgrimages, hot dogs and hooks retold, community murals expanding, our scars art. Fall's harvest moon marked a year, reflections rich. Betrayal, a chapter closed, fueling empathy, letters to support groups, Peter's talks at schools on closets cracked. Love, now, was legacy. Adopting a rescue pup, named Duck, Natch, eyeing foster care for kids like Tina's. Drama faded to backstory. Romance a steady flame. Dinners by candlelight. Travels to coasts where rainbows ruled. Yet climax's echo lingered in quiet fears. What if life breaks us again? We'd whisper post-love. Bodies spent. Answer, always, we rebuild. Together, humanistic core, flawed, fierce, forever choosing. Winter wrapped us gentle that second year. Snow blanketing our dreams in white possibility. Peter's graphic novel dropped to acclaim. Queer-lit fest panels. Signings where fans clutched copies like talismans. Sharing your story saved me. My app pivoted. Rebranded as Outlines. Mapping hidden networks for LGBTQ+ youth. Funded by grants and his royalties. Success bonded us deeper. But success breeds envy. Old flames circling. Like Jared's random friend request. Declined. With a screenshot laugh over wine. Conflict stirred subtle. A job offer for him in Chicago. Creative director at a progressive agency. It's huge, he enthused. Sketches of windy city skylines littering our table. I nodded. Gut twisting. My roots here. Family mending. The river's pull. And us. Nights debating turn tense. Pros/cons lists like battle plans. Kisses turning consolation prizes. I won't go without you, he vowed. But ambition's fire burned bright in his hazel eyes. The turning point came raw. A call from my dad. Voice gravelly over line static. Cancer, son. Stage 3. Come home. Kansas City shrank. We packed overnight. Peter's hand steady in mine as we drove to the farmhouse I'd fled years back. Dad was gaunt. Chemo-ravaged. But eyes lit at our arrival, husbands. I introduced bold. And he clasped Peter's hand. Take care of my boy. Mom hovered. Baking pies like armor. But the air hummed reconciliation. Bedside stories of my childhood mischief. Peter's gentle sketches capturing Dad's wry smiles. Vigil became vortex. Hospital waits blurring days. Emotions tide pulling us under. Peter held space. His quiet strength my rock. Midnight drives for air. Tears shed in truck cabs. Lovemaking in guest room shadows. Desperate affirmations. We're unbreakable, he'd murmur, tracing my wedding band. Betrayal's old wound? Irrelevant now. Family forged in fire. Dad's final weeks a crash course in grace. I was wrong. Adam. Love who you love. Proud. His passing. Under harvest moon. Shattered soft. Funeral rains washing grief clean. Peter's eulogy. A man who learned late. But loved loud, drawing nods from kin long estranged. Grief's aftermath was alchemy. We stayed through winter. Helping Mom sort the farm. Selling acres for her security. Planting perennials as memorials. Romance rooted there. Snowshoe hikes in fields. His body warming mine by hearth fires. Poems scrawled on seed packets. Back in the city come spring. Renewed. Chicago nixed for a hybrid gig. Peter's firm going remote friendly. Home's where you are, he said, sealing with a ringside kiss. Summer brought bloom. Outlines went national. TEDx invite for me on digital safe spaces. Peter's novel sequel greenlit. Us as cameos. Conflicts. Mild puppy potty wars. Vacation squabbles, beach versus. Mountains. Compromise. Both. Humanistic heart. We mentored a runaway teen. Fostering short-term. His wide eyes at our Walmart origin tale sparking hope. You guys are real? He'd ask. And we'd laugh. Real as rubber ducks. Fall's cusp. Anniversary too. We revisited roots. Dawn Walmart run. Cart squeaking familiar. Hot dogs split in the break room. Perks of knowing the night manager. Peter's dimple flashing timeless. Still changing my life? I teased. And he grinned. Ditto. Cowboy. Emotion swelled. Romantic core unyielding. River walks hand in hand. Future sketched, kids someday. Maybe. Via surrogacy or adoption. Travels to Paris for his art shows. My conferences. Climax's shadow? A health scare. Peter's chest pains mid-jog. Yard dash revealing stress-induced arrhythmia. Fucking irony, he joked. Hooked to monitors. But fear clawed deep. Visions of loss. Vows renewed in sterile light. Don't leave me, I begged. And he cupped my face. Never. We're etched. Recovery was ritual, yoga dates. Therapy tandems. Diet overhauls with veggie smuggle laughs. Strength emerged, his vulnerability a gift. My care a calling. Winter thawed to renewal. Our love a testament. Dramatic arcs bent but not broken. Emotional depths plumbed for pearls. Romantic sparks fan to hearth. Betrayal, distant lore, fueling empathy's fire. Guest spots on podcasts, sharing scars for solidarity. Humanistic end. Not flawless fairy tale, but gritty gospel, two men, Walmart born, choosing daily the messy miracle of us. Years blurred. Chapter stacking. Foster kid became family. Little Jamie with Peter's curls and my smirk. Gallery walls lined with his visions. My code classrooms buzzing. Conflicts came, teen rebellions, career crossroads, but resolutions rooted in we. Talks over tea. Touches that healed. Romance evolved. Enduring. Anniversary getaways to that first river bend. Bodies familiar yet electric. Whispers of still you. In quiet moments, reflecting on that 2 a.m. Cart squeak. I marvel. From hook to horizon, we'd scripted a life. Dramatic? Hell yes, storms weathered. Betrayals bested. Emotional? To the marrow. Romantic? In every glance. Humanistic? Profoundly, proof loves not conquest, but cultivation, blooming bold in America's heartland soil. And if life's next twist looms, we'll meet it, hands clasped, dimples flashing. Because some encounters, they don't just change lives, they rewrite eternities.